Okay, this is everything I got for the month of May 2022. It is actually a pretty big month. This is actually going to be like an edit because I can't put everything I got on the table at one time. First up, as you can see, just as I mentioned, I can't fit everything. It's mostly because I got this bad boy this month. I happened to be able to pick up the 35th anniversary edition of Akira. So just pop this bad boy open. Let me kind of shift it there. Okay. So this is a reprint, 35th anniversary, as I said. This is the Kodansha printing. So not that it's any really different from the Dark Horse. Really, the only difference is none of the sound effects are translated. And it reads right to left. But yeah, this is awesome. Here is one of my all-time favorite mangas. I absolutely love Katsuro Otomo. I try to get everything that I can that he's published, that gets printed or translated into English. So I missed out on getting this when it first came out. So I'm very excited to get this because I read Akira at least once every couple of years. So it'll be fun to go down and read it in this version. The quality of this entire box set is awesome. The hardcover is good. Paper quality is really high. Even from this high up, I can smell the quality of the paper. Everything is reproduced really, really nicely. You get all the cool color pages in the front, which are actually a different paper. This is like a glossy stock compared to a bit of a rougher for the black and white, which is cool. The dust jackets are awesome. You get like the art you would get on the normal reprints on the back. I guess the front cover, sorry. And the back cover is just some like promotional art that they've done for different things throughout Akira. And then the inside, there's just some great hardcover art. So yeah, this is awesome. I'm very much looking forward to rereading this series again like this, as I've said a few times. It also came with this book, Akira Club, which I actually have managed to pick up before, so I have 2 copies of this. But I don't have a copy with the dust jacket, so that's kind of cool. But this is just basically a reprinting of a bunch of promotional art that was made during Akira's like 10-year run in Young magazine, and then a lot of the covers as well. That not covers, but I guess like the art you'd see at the start of the chapter in Young magazine. So it's lots of really cool stuff in here. Like if you like, so yeah, just again, tons and tons of great stuff. There's also some gallery stuff here, just from like promotional materials have been made from posters for the theater, for the manga, for the anime, t-shirts and stuff they've made. Here's like a cool fan. You saw that on the cover of the magazine, some toy pictures, pinball machines, all kinds of really cool stuff. The sad thing about flipping through some of this stuff is that this is all promotional stuff that you could buy in Japan back in like the 80s. Like this hat is super rad. Good luck trying to find that. There's also some stuff from the anime as well, because obviously during the production of the Akira manga, Katsuro Otomo he didn't actually even take a break. I'm pretty sure he was still putting out chapters in Young magazine, and then he went and produced and made the anime, which is an endeavor in itself. So there's a bunch of cool like storyboard stuff in here, just some promotional art, production art as well. Some of the sequences. This is gorgeous. Yeah. This is like the reproduction of the final panel page from Akira, the manga. I think this is maybe both these original art drawn for the collection. Oh yeah, this is crazy. So this is like let me find this in the book 1 sec, because this is in volume 6. This is like the craziest story I find pretty wild. So yeah, you've got this like gorgeous drawing he did, right, of all the kids riding their bikes into New Tokyo Empire, and he drew this is the second version. So the final page, he does this giant splash page, he lays it down, he looks at it, he's just like, I'm not happy with it at all. It just wasn't working for me. So then he redraws the entire thing. He doesn't cut and reuse any of it, he just redraws it. And the detail in here, man, this is like wild. It's insane. Not saying he's doing everything by freehand. I'm sure there's rulers and involved, but still, just like Who takes the time to draw buildings like this anymore? Not too many artists. So yeah, I picked this up. Super excited for it. I now own Akira in multiple forms. I've got obviously the 35th anniversary edition. I've got the Dark Horse versions. I also actually have a couple of the issues of the Marvel Epic comic. I think just the first. I have the first two. I doubt I'll ever be able to collect all those issues. They're not that they're hard to find, but they're expensive as heck. So yeah. Anyways, this is kind of the first part of what I got for this month. Gonna have a quick edit, and then I'm gonna jump into what else I brought out. All right, so quick edit there. Back into everything else that I picked up for the month of May, 2022. Stack is looking pretty good. I say that there's actually a lot of key stuff, and yeah, good news. No X-Men comics this month. Not that I hate the X-Men comics, but I've been trying to stop reading them. They just keep popping up occasionally. So no X-Men comics this month, but I'll probably just curse myself. So I'm sure next month one will slip in because that's just the way it works sometimes. But first up, I got 8 Billion Genies, new kind of a mini series I picked up. I'm a big fan of Charles Soule, big fan of Ryan Brown. Ryan Brown, he worked on books like God Hates Astronauts, where I picked up a trade of that a couple months ago, as well as Magic Words. So the premise of this is basically every single person on the planet, all 8 billion of us, get a genie at the exact same time that grants us one wish. And I'm pretty sure chaos will ensue. They're both really funny guys. Like Charles Soule's, I've read quite a bit of his stuff. It's all a bit of a more serious tone, but when he's working with Ryan Brown, it's just super fun and like laugh out loud. So I'm looking forward to this one. Black Hammer Reborn issue 12. This is it. This is the end of Black Hammer. Maybe not completely. I'm sure there'll be some side stories and that get published with other characters, but for the main Black Hammer book for the time being, this is the end. And if the last issue is any hint, I think this is the last Black Hammer book officially that deals with the majority of all these characters together. Essentially, you got Colonel Weird, and Black Hammer, and they're on the farm, which you might recognize from the first Black Hammer, and it is the farm, but at the end of one of the previous Black Hammer series, where Colonel Weird and Lady Dragonfly team up to rescue everybody from the farm, when they realize why they're all there, they basically, some of the folks are like, I actually enjoy it here and I want to stay. So they create the farm again, but not in the weird pocket universe that it was. They actually create it on, I guess I would say, the real Earth. They're on like where we would live, like where superheroes are just comic books and movies that we go to see. And there's even a scene where they meet Abraham Slam. He's telling them like, oh yeah, I actually picked up the Black Hammer books on Amazon and they're okay. So that's where some of those characters are, and that's where Colonel Weird has transported the Black Hammer's family when she thought they were dead, and now she's there, and it is just, well, actually, no, I take that back. In the end of the last issue, she wasn't there, but it's pretty much her entire family is there, and it's all gonna, and so maybe that's what the anti-god was doing, was actually not destroying the real world, but all the fictional worlds, because there's a weird, cool storylines of like how all these parallel universes are like forgotten stories, and yeah, it's been awesome. It's the whole Black Hammer has been great. I really can't wait to read this issue. It's gonna be fantastic. More trigger warnings. Red Room trigger warnings is like the second season. First Wish has been really good. I'm a big fan of this book. It's not gonna be for everybody. It's a little gory, a little violent, but I love a good one and done series where each issue is one story, start to finish. And I like horror stuff as well, so it's a kind of perfect combination of the two. And as I mentioned a few times, it always kind of reminds me of the old EC horror stuff, which, you know, you don't see too much of those kind of books anymore. Shaolin Cowboy, Cruel to Be Kin. This is, I'm just so excited like Shaolin Cowboy's back, honestly. I could read, if Jeff Darrow could give me a new Shaolin Cowboy every day until he decides he doesn't want to draw anymore, I'd be a happy camper. This is Jeff Darrow's like, this is his pandemic project. He got bored in the pandemic, so he just started drawing Shaolin Cowboy again. Thought that he was ever not going to do it. He just was sort of like, I actually have a lot of time. So this is actually going to be the longest Shaolin Cowboy series. I think it's about 8 issues. There's probably a couple double-sized issues he's hinted at, but yeah, I can't wait to get into it. Like, even look at this cover. You got Shaolin Cowboy fighting a Komodo dragon with an umbrella, and the Komodo dragon is shooting at him with a machine in his tail. You've got him running from a murder of crows and a dinosaur and a skeleton in a car with a machine gun. It's just, I honestly can't wait. Like, one of the previous Shaolin Cowboy stories, 3 issues were just one long giant fight sequence that interconnected. It's a thing of beauty when Jeff Darrow's drawing it. So Usagi Yojimbo. I love the Usagi Yojimbo books. Last issue was fun. This one, I can't really see what's going on, but that's fine because I absolutely love this cover. This is such a great cover. I love you got the little titles a little hidden. You can't tell what issue I'm on. Oh, I'm on 28, but usually had the little which story is here. I don't know. It's Usagi fighting a weird, cool looking demon tiger. What's not to love? He's doing something after an artist last name Fuji, so I'm not too sure what the homage is to, but loving it. British Paranormal Society. So last month when I got the first issue, I was hoping this would just be like almost a continuation of the Silver Lantern Club because I really love that book. And it kind of is. It is the characters. It's Brutenholm's grandfather, I guess, and another member of the British Paranormal Society, and they're traveling together to a town to investigate some weirdness. But they're there for separate cases. He's there because a partner of his, an associate, went to study like standing stones, like kind of like a Stonehenge thing. Never heard of him again. And the woman he's traveling with, she's there to investigate this weird kind of occulty summer festival that they hold. So they get to the town. Things are not as they seem. There's a mystery afoot, maybe some occult business. I would assume there's occult business, being it's the spinoff of Hellboy and it's the British Paranormal Society. But the first issue was a lot of fun, so I'm really looking forward to it. What's interesting, this is actually a book that's not really has Mike Mignola involved. Chris Robertson has been a partner of Mignola's for a very long time. They've written a lot of stuff together, so yeah, still great. But Mike Mignola is writing this one spinoff of Hellboy and the BPRD, Night of the Cyclops. I don't really know what it's about, but it's Hellboy, so I'm going to buy it. I'm going to read it. I love Hellboy. Something I did notice is kind of Centaur. Is that the right name for that character? I don't know. You might be able to see like maybe there's a bit of a not safe for work happening there. I don't know. I'm not going to like look hold of the camera, but I was kind of surprised. It's definitely like a shadow, but of what? I don't know. But yeah, that made it past some censors. And finally, the last kind of single issue I got was, Saga. It's back. It's ongoing. It's great. Every issue's been fantastic. Lots of cool. All the characters are finally, you've kind of caught up where most people are. The last issue had a bit of a flashback of Gus. He's doing good, but it was more of a flashback, so it's not really, we don't know where he's kind of in like the current timeline. But yeah, it's working out great. I absolutely love this book, so no complaints. Yeah, I also got this one shot, Spectro by Juan Do. He's like a Spanish Latina artist, and they've done some stuff with Marvel a long time ago, which I picked up and I really enjoyed. They did like a Spider-Man one shot and a couple Marvel monster one shots like Werewolf by Night and Frankenstein and Eliza Bloodstone. So this is supposed to be kind of like a space cosmic horror, which it kind of looks like, kind of flipping through it. But yeah, really dig his art. You can definitely see there's been a bit of a progression since the last time, but I saw his stuff. So yeah, looking forward to that. It did not come big or board. It's a magazine size, so if I want to not put this on my shelf, it's a little thin for the bookcase and doesn't have anything on the spine there, so I'll have to figure that out on my own. Moving on to the trades, lots of good stuff this month. I'm actually super excited for more books, even though I also picked up Akira. King of Spies, new kind of Mark Millarbeck book, published by Netflix, so who knows, maybe we'll see this as a TV series or a miniseries. I think just based off the synopsis alone, I would bet a lot of money we'll probably see this. But Matteo Scalera did the art. He also drew Black Science. Sorry, kind of have a brain fart there. Black Science with Rick Remender, and I absolutely, Black Science is one of my favorite books of the last 10 years. It's a solid book, but the idea is basically this British spy, he's only got a few months left to live, so he basically decides he's just going to go out and solve all the problems he couldn't solve when he was an active agent, and just kind of start clearing pieces off the board, so to speak, because if he's going to die, there's no harm. Like, what are they going to do, come after him and kill him? Like, so yeah, this should be a lot of fun. It's the kind of stuff where like Mark Miller writing. It's just a nice one and done story. He can do some cool ideas. Should be great. Then I got The Walking Man by Jiro Taniguchi. This book I picked up because I was reading this other book called Rains Like Hammers, done by Brandon Graham. And in the back matter, he talks about this book and how it really kind of inspired some of the stuff from Rain Like Hammers, which is kind of funny because Rain Like Hammers is very much a science fiction book. And some of the stuff in that book that inspired me was like there's a lot of scenes in his Rain Like Hammers where it's it's very slice of life, very mundane, like a guy sitting at his future work console, just pushing buttons and going to his future apartment and eating pills for food and stuff. But you're just like, it's just kind of the simplicity of this story. So I really like Brandon Graham. So it's like, well, let's go read a couple of chapters online. And I actually, it was really cool. So I picked it up. And the title basically is what the book is. It's just a walking man. You're just seeing kind of the part of his mundane everyday life. There's a chapter in here where he just climbs a tree. That's it. Not a lot of dialogue in most of the stories. It's just a dude taking the time to stop and smell the roses. But it's really, this book is kind of everything I love about comic books in sequential art. There's really not any exposition. You're just kind of dropped into this man's life, and you're just kind of hearing and seeing what he's doing. And you could argue that nothing happens, right? There's no villains, there's no antagonists. It's just him walking in the rain. But it's drawn so well, and the storytelling, from what I've read so far, has just been fantastic. Like, you really do just kind of get swept into just this guy's everyday life, and it's just gorgeous. And yeah, I absolutely love it. It's just so cool. I'm really glad I read Rain Like Hammers, and I'm really glad that you recommended this book. This artist, mangaka, I guess, has done more stuff, so I'll probably try and pick up that as well. But yeah, found that. It was great. Then I gotta check the spine. Yeah, Heaven's Door. It's hard for me to make out Heaven's Door from that. I almost want to say like headgasm, but my eyesight's not so great sometimes. But Kaiichi Kyoke, I'm pretty sure I'm pronouncing his name incorrectly, was an assistant for Katsuhiro Otomo. So Katsuhiro Otomo, funny story, when asked if he ever had assistants on Akira, he said no, but pretty much every mangaka has some form of an assistant to help them draw like backgrounds and stuff. And you can find pictures of Katsuhiro Otomo in the 80s when he's working on Akira, like at a bar with his arms around guys. It's like Katsuhiro Otomo and all his assistants. So this gentleman, he did work with Katsuhiro Otomo. This is just a collection of like some of his work over the last, I don't know, few years, all collected and translated. It's all kind of different little genres. There's some science fiction stuff, some slice of life, some trippy psychedelic kind of head stuff. You can definitely see some of the Katsuhiro Otomo isms in some of the pages, but yeah, it looks really cool. I've never really heard of this guy before, and then I was just reading up about Akira. When I bought the 35th anniversary, I kind of went down a rabbit hole of like how to get made, who was working on it, and this guy's name popped up, and he's like, you can buy his book from Last Gasp, which I've never really heard of before. I don't think I have anything from Last Gasp. They don't really show them off the previous catalog I get, so yeah, that was really awesome to pick up. Moving on, I got the hardcover collection of Carmen. If you've seen the previous videos, I absolutely love this book. It's probably easily one of my favorite books of last year. I love Gilliam March, and the story is just like, the art is fantastic. Like, I'm just opening random pages and just like the storytelling and everything. Yeah, really nice and clean lines, all that fun stuff. Colors are fantastic. And again, really beautiful story. So I like this so much, I gotta just get the collection so I can reread it whenever I want, without having to dig out big boxes, and then I can just like lend it out to people as well. And go from there. There's also some like cool back matter, obviously. It's a hardcover collection, so there's some behind the scenes stuff. You can see some of his pencils and early inks and stuff in black and white, so that's kind of cool. You can really see how much detail goes in at just the inking level, which is really interesting. Especially because it looks like he's still doing it kind of old school. Usually when I see blue lines, I assume it's not done digitally, and then I can see pages here. It doesn't look like it's done digitally. Might be printing stuff out, then inking it, scanning it, coloring it. Also some cover galleries, which is cool. I didn't realize Milo Manera did some covers. I'm a huge Milo Manera fan, but I don't really buy variant covers. It's very rare. I every once in a while, if there's an artist I really like, I'll pick one up. And I really like Milo Manera, so I'm surprised I didn't know that was out there, and I picked up his cover. So, but yeah, love Carmen. And I just found out good news because of this. I don't think because of the sales, but one of the other publishers, I got another book of his that was republished from his stuff from Italy, and that publisher is going to reprint the rest of his stuff. So that's pretty awesome. I'll pretty much have everything Gilliam March has done. So very much looking forward to that. Then I got the second volume of Norse mythology. Neil Gaiman just kind of writing Norse mythology. He's just retelling all the myths and legends of the Norse gods. So I'm kind of into mythology, especially with playing a couple of video games that deal with Norse mythology. And who doesn't like Neil Gaiman retelling stuff? So also the first book, most of the stories are drawn by P. Craig Russell. This one they branched on a few others. So I recognize Mark Buckingham. He did Fables. Big fan of his. Gabriel Hernandez Walta, also really good. So yeah, like this is Mark Buckingham. I can recognize it instantly. It looks just like Fables. So which I guess that's kind of funny. Fables was a story about fairy tales, and now he's doing Norse mythology. So yeah, that'll be really fun. The first one was a lot of fun. There's at least one more volume 3, so can't complain. Then finally, I picked up Berserk Deluxe Edition. Berserk is one of those mangas like I've always heard about, and I was like, oh, one day I'll sit down and read a bit of it. It's, you hear so much about it, it's got to be somewhat good. And then I was trying to find it online through like the Viz app or something. It wasn't there, so I started reading it illegally through some free manga site, and I basically stopped by about like chapter or maybe like volume 8, because I was just like, this is insane. It's like in a good way. Like it's just so good. I can't believe I've never picked up Berserk before. So I was like, I just gotta go buy it. I gotta get the physical version of it because I like to do that. And I was just really blown away by Kentaro Miura's art. Like it was crazy. So yeah, this is volume 1. There's 10 volumes out, and I'm gonna slowly catch up and then keep going. So my goal is to probably pick up one of these every, I don't know, 3-4 months. But yeah, this one collects the first story he did, which when this first came out, the magazine that this was published in actually got canceled. So he had to, he was given the option to keep the story Guts. He owns it. And, or Berserk, sorry, Guts is the name of the main character. And then he was offered a job to be an assistant working with the manga who created Fist of the North Star, who's kind of a big influence of his, kind of a hero. He turned that down so he could just go on his own and kind of keep working on the idea of Berserk and the story of Guts, and then came back and kind of started the story from the beginning. Because this first story, Guts is all, I guess grown up. He's got his giant sword, he's got a metal arm, and, he's kind of jaded. This first story is kind of like a story in Guts' timeline near the very end. And then the last story in the book is, like literally like the last chapter is Guts as a young boy. You see him when he's born, from a woman who's like hanging from a tree, gets picked up by some mercenaries, and a slave takes him in as a baby and raises him, and he ends up becoming, a mercenary. But man, it's crazy good. Like the art is fantastic, honestly. Like some of the fights in this are just so well drawn. Like I was just blown away. I'm trying to randomly just flip through and find something because I haven't actually looked through this too much. But yeah, just like for a manga that's about a dude with a giant sword, you think you would lose. Like, how do you draw the sword with momentum? He does it. He does it so well. And even the fights are just choreographed really well, panel to panel. Like, here you go. Look at this giant sword. Like, his entire sword is just hash marks, like, to show momentum. It's so rad. See, you're just like cutting through this guy, just like slicing. Like, this is the kind of stuff I love, right? You see, there's the wind up, so it's coming around this way. It slices him into this way. It hits him straight in, right? Like, that makes sense visually reading that. Normally you have guys like flipping, it's like watching a bad action movie. There's just like lots of cuts. This is like one steady shot through all these frames, and then boom, the payoff. Like, oh man. Kentaro Miura, the guy was like in his early 20s when he was making this, like that first story. It blows my mind when you hear about these young like mangas and even comic artists and cartoons that put this work, and you're like, how old were you? What was I doing that age? Nothing like this. But yeah, so that's the first volume. That's gonna be awesome. So lots of more books to add to the pile, fill my bookcases with. Lots of fun stuff to read. Yeah, this is probably one of the best months I've had in a long time. I say best, not like I've gotten stuff where I was like, I've been disappointed with reading that, but just like the amount of stuff I got that I was like, oh man, this is like everything I was really looking forward to all kind of came in one month. So yeah, I guess it's summer. It's coming up to summertime, so maybe we'll start to see more stuff like that. But as always, let me know what you think. Send me your jeers, send me your cheers, and I'll talk to you next time.